The cargo bay of Nexus Station 7 smelled like metal and recycled air. Yi-Wan walked between the tall stacks of containers, his boots making soft sounds on the floor. He had done this walk 100 times before. Check the shipments. Make sure nothing dangerous came onto the station. Go home. Simple work for simple pay. His scanner beeped as he passed Container 47. Yi-Wan stopped and looked at the screen. The readings were wrong. The manifest said agricultural supplies inside, seeds and fertilizer for the colony worlds, but his scanner showed something else, something dense and metallic. Yi-Wan moved closer to the container. He pulled out his access key and pressed it against the lock. The door hissed open. Inside, bags of fertilizer were stacked neatly, too neatly. Yi-Wan pulled one bag aside. Behind it, he saw black cases, military grade, expensive. He opened one case. Plasma weapons, 30 of them, all illegal on a civilian station. You should not have found those. Yi-Wan turned around slowly. 5 figures stood behind him. They had been hiding between the other containers. The leader was tall and covered in gray scales, a reptilian species called the Sarkoth. His crew was mixed, 2 insectoids, 1 avian, 1 mammalian with thick fur. The Sarkoth held a plasma pistol. It was already pointed at Yi-Wan's chest. "I am Vorath," the Sarkoth said. His voice was smooth and cold. "These weapons belong to me. You will forget you saw them." Yi-Wan raised his hand slowly. His mind worked fast. The emergency button on his belt was behind him. If he could reach it, station security would come. But the moment he moved, Vorath would fire. "I cannot do that," Yi-Wan said. His voice was calm. "This is contraband, you know the law." Vorath's eyes narrowed. Humans, always so noble, always so foolish. He adjusted his grip on the weapon. "I gave you a chance, remember that." The plasma bolt hit Yi-Wan in the left shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. The smell of burned flesh filled his nose. Yi-Wan stumbled backward. His shoulder felt like someone had pressed a hot iron through it. The pain was bright and sharp and terrible. But he did not fall. Vorath stared at him. The pirate's mouth opened slightly. Around him, his crew made sounds of confusion. "What?" Vorath said. "How are you standing?" Every species in the galaxy knew about plasma weapons. One hit to the torso meant instant death. The superheated energy destroyed organs. It sent the body into immediate shock. Most species died before they hit the ground. Yi-Wan should be dead. His left arm hung useless at his side. Blood ran down his uniform. The pain made his vision blur, but his legs still worked. His right arm still moved. His brain still gave orders to his body. He reached for his belt with his good hand. "Shoot him," one of the insectoids screamed. "Shoot him again." 3 more plasma bolts hit Yi-Wan, 1 in the chest, 1 in the stomach, 1 in his right side. Each impact felt like a hammer made of fire. Yi-Wan's body screamed at him to lie down, to stop moving, to sleep. But something older than thought kept him moving. Something from deep in his human brain that said, "Survive first, rest later." His fingers found the emergency button. He pressed it. The station alarm began to wail. Yi-Wan fell to his knees, then forward onto the cold metal floor. The last thing he saw was Vorath's face. The pirate looked terrified, not angry, not determined, terrified. "What kind of monster?" Vorath whispered. Boots pounded on metal. Many boots. Security was coming fast. Yi-Wan heard shouting. The sound of weapons being dropped. Someone was screaming. It might have been one of the pirates. Then there were hands on him. Careful hands. Someone was talking to him. The voice sounded far away. "Stay with us. Help is coming. Stay with us." Yi-Wan tried to answer, but his mouth would not work. The pain was everywhere now. It filled his whole body like water filling a container. But underneath the pain, he felt something else. Relief. He had done his job. The alarm was sounding. The pirates would not escape. More voices now. Many more. Someone was lifting him onto something soft, a medical stretcher. The ceiling of the cargo bay moved above him as they carried him away. 4 plasma hits, someone said, their voice shook. 4 direct hits to vital areas. How is he alive? He is human, another voice answered. Get him to medical now. The world started to fade. Gray crept in from the edges of Yi-Wan's vision. The pain began to feel distant, like it was happening to someone else. His body was shutting down, protecting itself, going to sleep so it could try to heal. But before the darkness took him completely, Yi-Wan heard one more thing. It was Vorath's voice. The pirate was talking to the security team. His words were fast and panicked. We shot him 4 times. 4 times with military-grade plasma. He just kept moving. He kept moving like it was nothing. What are you humans made of? No one answered the pirate. They were too busy trying to save Yi-Wan's life. The last thought Yi-Wan had before consciousness left him was simple and clear. He had felt every single shot. Each one had hurt worse than anything he had ever known. It was not nothing. It was not easy. But it had not stopped him. That was the difference. That was what the galaxy did not understand about humans. They felt everything. The pain, the fear, the damage. They felt all of it. They just did not let it stop them. The darkness finally took him. In the cargo bay behind him, 5 pirates sat with their hands bound. All 5 were silent. All 5 stared at the blood on the floor where Yi-Wan had fallen. They had learned something today about humans, something the rest of the galaxy was about to learn too. You could hurt them, you could wound them, you could make them bleed. But making them quit was a different matter entirely. The medical bay doors slammed open. The emergency team rushed through with the stretcher. On it lay Yi-Wan, his uniform burned and bloody. 4 massive plasma wounds covered his torso. Dr. Kiva looked up from her desk. Her feathers stood up in alarm. She was an avian, tall and covered in blue and white plumage. She had been a doctor for 20 years. She had seen many injuries, but plasma wounds like these meant one thing. A body for the morgue, not a patient for surgery. He is still alive, the security officer said. His name was Threll. He was insected with a hard shell and 6 limbs. 4 plasma hits, still breathing. Kiva moved fast. Her training took over. She grabbed her scanner and ran it over Yi-Wan's body. The device beeped and showed her the damage. It was impossible. The first shot had destroyed most of his left shoulder. Bone was shattered. Muscle was burned away. The second had pierced his chest near his heart. The third had burned through his stomach. The fourth had damaged his right side badly. Any one of these wounds would kill most species instantly. The pain alone would stop their hearts. The shock would shut down their brains. 4 wounds like this. No one survived 4 wounds like this. But the scanner showed a heartbeat, fast and irregular but there. It showed brain activity. It showed lungs still moving air. Somehow, impossibly, the human was alive. Get him to surgery now, Kiva shouted. Someone call Youngmi. We need a human doctor here immediately. They lifted Yi-Wan onto the surgical table. Kiva's hands moved quickly. She had to stop the bleeding first, then stabilize him, then hope he lived long enough for real help to arrive. She cut away his burned uniform. The smell of cooked flesh made her want to gag. She had smelled it before, but never from a living patient. The dead did not need surgery. Blood pressure dropping, one of her nurses said. He was a small mammalian with gray fur. His voice was tight with stress. Give him fluids, Kiva ordered. Maximum rate. We need to keep his volume up. She worked on the chest wound first. It was the most dangerous. The plasma had barely missed his heart. Another centimeter to the left and nothing could have saved him. She used foam sealant to close the damaged blood vessels. It was temporary, but it would have to do. Then something happened that made her freeze. Yi-Wan's eyes opened. He looked directly at her. His face was pale, sweat covered his skin, but his eyes were clear, aware, understanding. "The pirates," he said, his voice was weak but steady. "5 of them. Leader is Sarkoth, gray scales, name is Vorath. Weapons are in container 47. Kiva stared at him. This was not possible. No species could be conscious with injuries like this. The pain alone should have knocked him out. The trauma should have put him in a coma. "Stop talking," she said. "Save your strength." "Need to tell you," Yiwan continued. His breathing was labored. "Military-grade plasma weapons, 30 units. Vorath mentioned buyers. Station is in danger." Threll stepped forward. He leaned close to hear better. "We have the pirates," he said gently. "You did your job, now let the doctor save you." Yiwan nodded slightly. Then his eyes closed again. But his heartbeat stayed steady on the monitor. He had not passed out from pain. He had simply decided to rest. Kiva returned to her work. Her hands shook slightly. In all her years of medicine, she had never seen anything like this. She glanced at her nurse. He looked just as disturbed. "What are humans made of?" the nurse whispered. Kiva did not answer. She did not know. 20 minutes later, another human rushed into the surgical bay. She was small and moved with purpose. Her black hair was tied back tightly. Her uniform said she was from a medical vessel 3 stations away. "I am Youngmi," she said quickly. "Human trauma specialist. What is his status?" Kiva stepped back. 4 plasma wounds, all to vital areas. I have stabilized the bleeding, but the damage is severe. He was conscious 15 minutes ago. He gave us information about his attackers." Youngmi's eyes went wide. "He was conscious after 4 plasma hits." "Is that unusual for humans?" Kiva asked. "I thought perhaps your species had higher pain tolerance." Youngmi laughed. It was not a happy sound. "We feel pain just as much as anyone else, maybe more." She moved to the table and began her examination. "But humans can function through it. Our bodies do not shut down from pain alone." She worked while she talked. Her hands were steady and sure. She had clearly treated injuries like this before. "Humans evolved on a death world," Youngmi explained. "Earth. It is rated Class 9 for danger. When I was in medical school, they taught us the difference between humans and most other species." Kiva listened carefully. She wanted to understand. "Most species evolved for efficiency," Youngmi continued. "If something hurts you badly, your body shuts down. It prevents more damage. It is logical, smart design." She paused to seal another blood vessel. "Humans evolved differently. On Earth, predators hunted in packs. Injuries were common. The environment was harsh. If early humans shut down from pain, they died. So we evolved to keep going, to function even when damaged." "But the pain," Kiva said. "How can anyone think clearly through that much pain?" "We cannot, not well." Youngmi's voice was grim. "Yiwan is probably in agony right now. Even unconscious, his brain is processing all of that damage. When he wakes up, it will be worse. But his body will not quit. It will keep his heart beating, keep his lungs working, keep him alive so he can maybe survive." She pulled up a display screen. It showed human anatomy. She pointed to different systems. "Adrenaline keeps us moving during trauma. Endorphins dull some of the pain. Our blood clots quickly. Our organs have redundant systems. We evolved to survive injuries that would kill most species." Kiva felt cold. "So humans are built to suffer." "Built to survive," Youngmi corrected. "There is a difference. We are not invincible. We die from injuries just like everyone else. We just die slower. We have more time to fight back, more time to reach help, more time to finish what we started." She worked in silence for a moment. Then she said quietly, "The galaxy thinks humans are warriors, fighters, soldiers, but we are not. We are survivors. There is a big difference. Warriors train for combat. Survivors are shaped by disaster." The surgery continued for 3 more hours. Youngmi repaired what she could. She replaced damaged tissue with synthetic material. She sealed wounds and stabilized organs. Kiva watched and learned. Human medicine was different from what she knew. It assumed the patient would live. It assumed the body would fight to heal. It assumed consciousness during trauma was normal. Finally, Youngmi stepped back. He will live, probably, if infection does not set in, if his organs hold, if he wants to live badly enough. Wants to live? Kiva asked. Human recovery is partly mental, Youngmi said. We can choose to keep fighting, or we can let go. Yi-Wan seems like a fighter. On the table, Yi-Wan's chest rose and fell, steady, determined, refusing to quit. Kiva looked at the human and understood something new about this species. They were not fearless. They were not immune to pain. They were not supernatural. They were just incredibly, terrifyingly stubborn. And sometimes, stubbornness was the most powerful survival trait of all. Threll sat in his office and watched the security footage for the 5th time. Each viewing made him more uncomfortable. The video showed the cargo bay. It showed Yi-Wan opening the container. It showed the pirates emerging from hiding. Then it showed Vorath firing his plasma pistol. The first bolt hit Yi-Wan in the shoulder. Threll watched the human stumble backward. Any other species would have dropped. The shock alone would have killed them, but Yi-Wan stayed on his feet. Then came the second shot, third shot, fourth shot. Each time Yi-Wan took the hit. Each time he kept moving, slowly, painfully, but he never stopped. His hand reached for his belt, found the emergency button, pressed it. Only then did he fall. Threll paused the video. He had seen combat before. He had seen brave soldiers and foolish ones. But he had never seen anyone take 4 plasma shots and continue moving with purpose, with clarity, with determination to complete their task. It was disturbing. The door to his office opened. 2 of his security team brought in Vorath. The Sarkoth pirate was bound in energy restraints. His scales looked dull. His eyes were haunted. "Sit," Threll ordered. Vorath sat. He did not argue. He did not threaten. He looked like someone who had seen something that broke his understanding of reality. "Tell me what happened," Threll said. Vorath was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke. His voice was different from the confident tone in the video. It was shaken, uncertain. "We hid in the cargo bay for 2 days," Vorath began, "waiting for the right time to move our shipment. Then the human came for his security check. I thought we could scare him, make him look away. Humans are supposed to be soft, weak. That is what my contacts told me." "Your contacts were wrong," Threll said. "I know that now." Vorath's claws scraped against the table. "When he found the weapons, I gave him a choice, walk away or die. He chose to die, so I shot him." "You shot him 4 times, Threll corrected. "Because he would not fall." Vorath's voice rose, his calm mask cracked. "The first shot should have killed him instantly. I saw the bolt hit. I saw the damage. I have killed with that weapon before. I know what it does to a body." He leaned forward, his eyes were wide. But he just stood there, looking at me, like I had annoyed him instead of destroying him. So I ordered my crew to fire. 3 more shots, all direct hits, all to vital areas. Threll listened without interrupting. He had heard many confessions. Most criminals tried to justify their actions. Vorath was not justifying. He was trying to understand. "He should have been dead," Vorath continued. "His body should have shut down. The pain should have stopped his heart. The shock should have put him in a coma. But he just kept moving, reaching for his belt, calling for help, like getting shot with plasma weapons was just an inconvenience." "And then," Threll prompted. "Then he pressed his emergency button. The alarm started and he finally fell." Vorath looked down at his clawed hands. "My crew panicked. They started screaming. One of them tried to run. I stood there and stared at the human's body on the floor. And I thought, what kind of species keeps moving after that? What kind of evolution creates something that refuses to die?" Threll pulled up a data screen. "After you were arrested, I did some research. I looked up human biology, human evolution, human history." He turned the screen so Vorath could see. It showed a planet, blue and green and white, beautiful but marked with warning symbols. Earth, Threll said. The human homeworld. It is classified as a Class 9 death world. Do you know what that means? Vorath shook his head. It means the planet is extremely hostile to most forms of life, Threll explained. Extreme temperatures, dangerous weather, violent tectonic activity, toxic plants and animals, predators that hunt in packs, diseases that kill in days. He pulled up more data, images of Earth creatures, large animals with teeth and claws, small animals with venom, microscopic organisms that caused plagues. Humans evolved alongside all of this, Threll continued. They did not become the strongest species on their planet. They became the most persistent. They developed the ability to hunt prey by chasing it for days, not hours, days. They would follow an animal until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would kill it. Vorath stared at the images. That is insane. That is survival, Threll corrected. Humans learned to keep going when their bodies told them to stop. They learned to function through pain, through exhaustion, through fear, because on their world stopping meant death. He changed the display to show human anatomy. Look at their biology, redundant systems, multiple organs that can partially compensate for each other, blood that clots quickly, a brain that releases chemicals to keep them moving during trauma. They are designed to survive damage. But they still feel pain, Vorath said quietly. I saw his face. He was in agony. Yes, Threll agreed. They feel everything, maybe more than other species, but feeling pain and being stopped by pain are different things. Humans feel the pain, they acknowledge it, then they keep going anyway. He turned off the display. You made a mistake, Vorath. You assumed humans were like other species. You thought one plasma shot would stop him, but humans do not stop easily. They are not built to stop. They are built to continue. Vorath was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, Will he live? The doctors think so, Threll said. He will be in medical care for weeks. He will need surgery and therapy. He will have scars. But yes, he will probably live. Probably, Vorath repeated. Anyone else would be definitely dead. Yes, Threll said simply. After Vorath was taken back to his cell, Threll sat alone in his office. He pulled up more information about humans, medical reports, historical records, military analyses. The picture became clear. Humans were not invincible. They were not immune to damage. They could be killed just like any species, but they were remarkably hard to stop, not because they did not feel pain, but because they had learned to work through it. It was an uncomfortable truth. Most species in the galaxy had evolved to be efficient, to shut down when damaged to prevent further harm. Humans had evolved to keep functioning until the threat was gone or they were dead. There was no middle ground for them, no safe shutdown, no protective unconsciousness, just consciousness and pain and the stubborn refusal to quit. Threll thought about Yi-1 lying in medical, recovering from wounds that should have killed him, probably in terrible pain even now, but alive because his human body refused to give up. The security chief had served in the galactic military for 15 years. He had fought in 3 wars. He thought he understood combat and survival. But now he realized something. Understanding survival as a concept was different from understanding a species built for it. Humans were not just survivors. They were survival made flesh. Evolution had carved them into creatures that could endure almost anything. And that was a terrifying thought. Because it meant the galaxy had been wrong about humans. They were not weak. They were not soft. They were not fragile. They were just good at hiding how dangerous they really were. The news spread through Nexus Station 7 like fire through dry grass. Everyone knew about the human who took 4 plasma shots and lived. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone had a theory. Hyo-jun heard about it in the machine shop where he worked. He was human too, one of only 12 humans on the station. He had been fixing a broken air recycler when his coworker told him the story. "Did you hear about the security guard?" his coworker asked. Her name was Tilra. She was a mammalian with orange fur and large eyes. "The human one, Yi one." Hyojun nodded. He had already received 3 messages about it. "I heard 4 plasma shots. Is he alive?" "That is the crazy part," Tilra said. Her voice was strange, not quite fearful but close. "He is alive. He is recovering. The doctors say he will survive." She was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Is it true? Can humans really do that? Can you really survive wounds that would kill anyone else?" Hyojun put down his tools. He had been expecting this question. "Yes and no," he said carefully. "Humans can survive serious injuries, but we are not invincible. We can die just like anyone else." "But 4 plasma shots," Tilra insisted. "4." "I know," Hyojun said. "Yi-1 got very lucky. The shots missed critical areas. If any of them had hit his heart or his brain, he would be dead. Humans cannot survive that kind of damage." But Tilra did not look convinced. Hyojun could see the doubt in her eyes. He had seen that look before. People wanted to believe humans were either weak or invincible. The truth was more complicated. Over the next few days, the rumors grew worse. Hyojun heard them everywhere he went, in the cafeteria, in the market, in the corridors. Humans cannot be killed by energy weapons. Humans feel no pain. Humans are death-world predators hiding among us. Some of it was just curiosity, but some of it was fear. People looked at Hyojun differently now. They moved away when he approached. They spoke more quietly around him. He had become something scary without doing anything at all. On the 3rd day after the incident, Hyojun went to the station commons. It was a large open area where people gathered to socialize. He found a spot near the center and stood on a bench. "Can I have everyone's attention?" he called out. People stopped and looked at him. The commons grew quiet. Hyojun saw dozens of species watching him. Avians, insectoids, mammals, reptilians, all curious, all wary. "My name is Hyojun," he said. "I am human. Like Yi-1, the security guard you have all been talking about. I want to clear up some misunderstandings." "Is it true you cannot be killed?" someone shouted from the crowd. "No," Hyojun said firmly. "We can be killed, easily. A plasma shot to the head or heart will kill us just like anyone else. We are not immortal, we are not invincible." "But Yi-1 survived 4 shots," another voice called. "He did," Hyojun agreed. "And he was extremely lucky. Those shots could have killed him. They should have killed him. But they missed his most vital organs by centimeters. If the pirate had aimed slightly differently, Yi-1 would be dead." He pulled out a small knife from his pocket. He pressed the tip against his finger until a drop of blood appeared. He held it up for everyone to see. "Look," he said, "I bleed. I feel pain. This small cut hurts. If I fell from this bench and broke my arm, I would need medical care. I am not made of metal. I am flesh and blood just like most of you." The crowd murmured. Some looked relieved, others still looked doubtful. "So what is different about humans?" someone asked. It was an insectoid similar to Threll. Hyojun thought about how to explain it. "Humans evolved on a dangerous world," he began. "We learned to survive by being persistent, not by being strong or tough, by being stubborn." He pointed to his chest. "When a human gets hurt badly, our body does not shut down to protect us. It keeps running. Our heart keeps beating. Our lungs keep breathing. Our brain stays awake. This gives us a chance to reach safety or get help." "But the pain," someone said. "How do you function through that much pain?" "We do not function well," Hyojun admitted. "We hurt, we suffer, the pain is terrible, but our bodies keep the basic systems running anyway. We can move, we can think, we can act, not easily, not well, but we can do it." He paused to let that sink in. "Think of it like this. Most species have an off switch for pain. When it gets too bad, you pass out. Your body protects you by shutting down. Humans do not have that switch, or it is set much higher. We stay conscious through things that would put other species into shock. A young avian stepped forward. She looked curious rather than afraid. Is that why humans are good at long-distance running? I read about that once. Hyojun smiled. Yes, on Earth, humans hunted by chasing prey for hours or even days. The animals we hunted were faster and stronger, but they could not run as long as we could. Eventually, they would collapse from exhaustion. We learned to keep going when our bodies begged us to stop. That sounds horrible, someone murmured. It is, Hyojun agreed. Evolution did not make us comfortable, it made us functional. There is a big difference. An older mammalian spoke up. So humans trade comfort for survival. Exactly, Hyojun said. We feel everything. The pain, the exhaustion, the fear, but we can choose to keep moving anyway. It is not pleasant, it is not easy, but it is possible. The crowd was quiet for a moment. Then someone asked, "Why are you telling us this?" "Because I want you to understand," Hyojun said. "Humans are not monsters. We are not threats. We are just people who evolved differently. Yes, we can survive serious injuries, but we pay a price for that. We live with pain that other species never have to feel." He stepped down from the bench. Yi-Wan did something incredible, but he is not superhuman. He is just human, and being human means suffering through things that would kill others. It means choosing to continue when every nerve in your body screams at you to stop. As the crowd began to disperse, a few people approached Hyojun. They asked more questions. Some thanked him for explaining. Others shared their concerns, but the fear in their eyes had lessened. Understanding was replacing it. That evening, Hyojun visited Yi-Wan in the medical bay. Youngmi let him in. Yi-Wan was awake but looked exhausted. Bandages covered most of his torso. "I heard you gave a speech," Yi-Wan said. His voice was weak but amused. "Someone had to," Hyojun replied. "People were starting to think we were invincible." Yi-Wan laughed, then winced in pain. "Definitely not invincible. I feel like I got hit by 4 plasma bolts." "You did get hit by 4 plasma bolts." "That explains it then." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Yi-Wan said, "Did you tell them the truth, that it hurts?" "I did," Hyojun said. "I told them we feel everything, that we are not immune to pain, that we just have to deal with it." "Good," Yi-Wan said quietly. "I do not want people thinking this was easy. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. Every second after those shots hit me, I wanted to give up, to lie down and sleep and let it all stop. But you did not." "No," Yi-Wan agreed. "I did not because I am human, and humans are too stubborn to quit even when we should." Hyojun smiled. "Maybe that is not such a bad thing." "Maybe," Yi-Wan said, "but I would prefer not to test it again." Outside the medical bay, the station continued its routines. But something had changed. People understood humans a little better now. They knew that strength and resilience were not the same thing. They knew that surviving was not the same as not feeling pain. And they knew that sometimes, the most dangerous thing about a species was not what it could do without suffering, but what it could do despite suffering everything. 3 weeks after the shooting, Yi-Wan stood in front of the mirror in his quarters. He moved his left arm in slow circles. The shoulder still hurt, but it was a manageable pain now. Not the burning agony of the first week. Not the sharp ache of the second week. Just a dull reminder that his body was still healing. He lifted his shirt and looked at the scars. 4 of them, dark marks against his skin. The doctors had done good work. The wounds had closed cleanly. No infection, no complications, just scars that would stay with him forever. Youngmi had told him he was lucky. The word felt wrong to Yi-Wan. Lucky would have been not getting shot at all. This was something else. This was survival. There was a difference. A message appeared on his comm device. It was from Threll. The security chief wanted to see him before his shift started. Yi-1 had been cleared for light duty 2 days ago, desk work only, no field operations, not yet. He made his way through the station corridors. People still stared at him, but the looks were different now. Less fear, more curiosity, some respect. A few people even nodded at him as he passed. Threll was waiting in his office. The insectoid gestured to a chair. Yi-1 sat carefully. His torso was still sensitive. "How are you feeling?" Threll asked. "Better," Yi-1 said. "Not great, but better. The doctors say you are healing faster than expected." Yi-1 shrugged with his good shoulder. "Humans heal quickly compared to some species. It is part of how we are built." Threll pulled up a data screen. "I have been studying human biology for the past 3 weeks. It is fascinating and disturbing." "Both are fair," Yi-1 said with a slight smile. "Before the incident, I thought I understood most species," Threll continued. "I had served with many different races in the military, but humans, you are different, not stronger, not tougher, just different." He turned the screen toward Yi-1. It showed casualty statistics from various conflicts. In battles where humans serve alongside other species, humans have higher injury rates, but they also have higher survival rates. At first, military analysts thought it was better medical care. But it is not that. It is biology. "We are hard to kill completely," Yi-1 said. "Easy to hurt, hard to kill." "That is a strange combination," Threll observed. "It is the world we came from," Yi-1 explained. "On Earth, being fragile meant death. So we evolved to take damage and keep going. It is not pleasant, but it works." Threll was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Voreth asked about you. He wanted to know if you survived." "What did you tell him?" "The truth, that you are recovering, that you will return to duty." Threll's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. He seemed relieved. "I think shooting you disturbed him greatly." "Good," Yi-1 said. "Maybe he will think twice before shooting someone else." "May I ask you something?" Threll said. "After the first shot hit you, did you think about stopping, about giving up?" Yi-1 considered the question. "Yes," he admitted. "After each shot, part of me wanted to stop, to fall down and wait for help. The pain was incredible. I have never felt anything like it." "But you continued." "I had to," Yi-1 said simply. "The pirates needed to be stopped. The station needed to be warned. If I stopped, they might have escaped. People could have been hurt, so I kept moving. Even though every part of your body was telling you to stop." "Especially because of that," Yi-1 said. "On Earth, our ancestors learned that pain is just information. It tells you that you are damaged, but information is not a command. You can acknowledge the pain and still choose your actions." Threll leaned back in his chair. "That is the part I find most disturbing. Not that you can survive such injuries, that you can choose to continue despite them. Most species do not have that choice. Their bodies make the decision for them." "Is that not safer?" Yi-1 asked. "Perhaps," Threll admitted, "but it is also limiting. There are situations where continuing despite injury is necessary. Humans have that option. Most of us do not." Before Yi-1 could respond, the office door opened. Kiva walked in, her blue feathers neat and organized. Behind her was Youngmi. "We heard you were back," Kiva said. "We wanted to check on our most interesting patient." "Most stubborn patient," Youngmi corrected with a smile. Yi-1 stood carefully. "I am fine, thank you both. You saved my life." "We helped," Kiva said. "But you saved yourself by staying conscious long enough to call for help. Most species would have passed out immediately." "Youngmi explained the adrenaline response to me," Yi-1 said. "My body dumped chemicals to keep me moving. It was not really my choice." "It was partially your choice," Youngmi disagreed. "Your body gave you the tools, but you chose to use them. You could have collapsed and waited. Instead, you completed your task first. That was not biology. That was determination." They talked for a while longer, about human medicine, about recovery timelines, about the changes on the station since the incident. Finally, Kiva and Youngmi left. Threll turned back to Yi-Won. "Before you return to duty, I want you to know something," the security chief said. "What you did was extraordinary, but I do not expect you to do it again. If you are ever in danger, your priority is to survive, not to complete the mission. Do you understand?" Yi-Won nodded. "I understand. But if I am in that situation again, I cannot promise what I will choose. Humans are not good at prioritizing our own survival over others." "Another Deathworld trait," Threll observed. "Probably," Yi-Won agreed. Later that day, Yi-Won had one more visit to make. He went to the detention area where Vorath was being held. The Sarkoth pirate was awaiting transport to a prison facility. Threll had arranged for Yi-Won to speak with him if he wanted. Vorath looked up when Yi-Won entered. The pirate's eyes widened. He stood quickly, his scales shifting in what Yi-Won recognized as distress. "You are alive," Vorath said. "I am alive," Yi-Won confirmed. They looked at each other for a long moment. Finally, Vorath spoke. "I am sorry for shooting you, for trying to kill you, I thought." He trailed off. "You thought I would be easy to stop," Yi-Won finished. "Yes," Vorath admitted. "My contacts told me humans were weak, fragile. I believed them. I was wrong." "You were not completely wrong," Yi-Won said. "We are fragile. You hurt me badly. I almost died. If the shots had been placed differently, I would have died." "But you kept moving," Vorath said. His voice was full of confusion. "After 4 shots, you kept moving. How?" Yi-Won thought about how to answer. "We come from a world that did not let us quit. If our ancestors stopped when they were hurt, they died. If they stopped when they were tired, they died. If they stopped when they were afraid, they died. So we learned not to stop. We learned to keep going until the danger was over or we were dead." "That is a terrible way to live," Vorath said quietly. "Yes," Yi-Won agreed. "It is, but it is how we survived, and now it is just part of what we are." He turned to leave, then paused. "I hope you learn from this, Vorath. Not just that humans are hard to kill, but that making assumptions about any species is dangerous. We all evolved differently. We all have different strengths and weaknesses." "I will remember," Vorath promised. "I will remember the human who would not fall." Yi-Won walked out of the detention area and made his way to the observation deck. It was his favorite spot on the station. Large windows showed the stars beyond, beautiful and cold and endless. He stood there and thought about the past 3 weeks, about the pain he had endured, about the choices he had made, about what it meant to be human in a galaxy that did not fully understand his species. Humans were not invincible. They were not immune to pain or damage. They bled, they hurt, they died. But they also had something that many other species lacked. They had the ability to look at their broken bodies and decide to keep going anyway, to acknowledge the pain and then push past it, to survive not because it was easy, but because they refused to make it easy for death to claim them. It was not a superpower, it was just evolution. Earth had carved humans into creatures that could endure, not comfortably, not easily, but effectively. Yi-Won touched the scar on his chest. It would remind him forever of the day he got shot 4 times with military-grade plasma weapons. The day he discovered exactly how much a human body could take before it quit. The answer was more than almost anyone expected, more than seemed possible, more than was comfortable or pleasant or fair. But that was the human condition, built to suffer, built to survive, built to keep going when every logical species would have stopped. Behind him, he heard footsteps. Hyojun approached and stood beside him at the window. "Back to work already?" Hyojun asked. "Light duty only," Yi-Won replied. "But yes, I cannot sit still for too long." "Another human trait," Hyojun said with a smile. "We are terrible at resting." They stood together in comfortable silence, looking at the stars. 2 humans on a station full of different species. two representatives of a death world that had shaped them in ways the galaxy was only beginning to understand. "Do you think they will ever really get us?" Hyojun asked quietly. Yi-Won thought about it, about Threll studying human biology, about Kiva's disturbed fascination, about Voreth's terror, about all the stares and whispers and questions. "Maybe not completely," he said finally, "but that is okay. We do not completely understand them either. We just have to find a way to live together despite the differences." "Fair enough," Hyojun agreed. As they stood there, neither of them noticed the small crowd that had gathered behind them. Station residents of various species, watching the two humans quietly, not with fear, not with suspicion, but with a kind of careful respect. Because they had all learned something important over the past few weeks. You could hurt a human, you could wound them deeply, you could make them bleed and break and suffer. But stopping them was a different matter entirely. And in a dangerous galaxy, having neighbors who refused to quit was not such a bad thing after all.